Capcom is a company that's made itself known and very popular by some of its great titles that they've made through coin-ops and arcades to titles on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Some of their titles have continuously prospered through sequels and reboots, such as Street Fighter, Dead Rising, Devil May Cry, and Monster Hunter. For the many more titles that deserve a reboot or a sequel of some sort, we put together a list of our top 10 games that we think deserve this treatment. Automodelista is a cel-shaded racer with very stylish graphics that look like a racing cartoon come to life. Released back in 2003 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the original Xbox, it wasn't received very well by critics. It was mostly due to the poor handling controls and the kind of strange physics that the game had. I think that if Capcom gave development to a studio with a proven track record for racing mechanics, all they need to do is publish it, and they have a hit on their hands. Capcom is certainly the king of fighting games, and aside from Street Fighter and their Versus series, Darkstalkers is probably the next most popular series that they have. Still a favorite among fighting game fans, Darkstalkers included monsters of different sorts like vampires, mummies, werewolves, and more. Last we saw Darkstalkers was the Darkstalkers Resurrection re-release back in 2013 on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, which featured the second game in the series, Night Warriors, and the third game in the series, Darkstalkers 3. It sold well, but they didn't consider it enough to be commercially successful. But we all know that the sales of retro re-releases don't always represent the desires of fans when it comes to a new title. Make a new title using the Street Fighter V engine, and you've got a winner. Final Fight, originally released in arcades in 1989, follows Mayor Hagar, his daughter's boyfriend Cody, and Cody's best friend Guy, as they set out to go rescue Hagar's daughter Jessica. Now this game right here is the definition of beat 'em ups. I'm talking lines to play this game when it was originally released in the arcade. Last we saw this game, or something from this series, was Double Impact in 2010, which was released on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. Beat 'em ups have kind of become a bit of a thing when it comes to retro style games. I think with some very great animated graphics, it's time to revisit this series. Ghosts and Goblins has to be one of the hardest, most unforgiving, but still absolutely fun games I have ever played. The original came out in the arcades back in 1985, with a sequel called Ghouls and Ghosts in 88. It wasn't until 91 on the Super Nintendo that we got another variation called Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Eventually in 2006, on the PSP we would get Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. I think at this point the game deserves a true reboot. Of course, all the previous versions are available on the Nintendo Virtual Console, but it's time for a next-gen upgrade.
Ready. Fight!
As I said before, Capcom is the king when it comes to fighting games. Their Versus series is definitely one of the top tier series that they have. Starting with X-Men vs. Street Fighter, they've constantly put out great titles in that series. Their last release, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, is still a mainstay in competitive play to this day. Fans have been waiting for a new entry into that series, looking for Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Unfortunately, with the loss of the Marvel license, Capcom was unable to create another entry in that series due to Disney taking all their properties in-house and using their own studio. Now that Disney is shifting that setup and is now ready to license out their properties to other companies to make titles, maybe now is the time to revisit the possibility of a Marvel vs. Capcom 4.
Come on.
Onimusha is a fantastic samurai series built off the Resident Evil engine. Beginning in 2001 with Warlords, Onimusha only ever received 2 direct sequels, one other title which is a part of the canon, and a couple of other titles that are a part of the same world but not considered canon. At this point, with all the constant Resident Evil titles they continuously release, I think it's time to change up things a bit, let Resident Evil rest for a moment, and give Onimusha another try. Power Stone is a 3D 4-player fighting game released in '99, originally hitting arcades and eventually making its way to the Dreamcast. It was easily a fan favorite among players, especially given that the Dreamcast out of the box supported 4 players.
Remember, don't miss the elevator, or else you'll be sorry.
The second title in the series was released in 2000, and of course there was a collection on the PSP in 2006. They even had an anime for this series back in 1999. No question, Power Stone is a very popular series, but for whatever reason, Capcom has never gone back to it to release a third title in the series, or even reboot it. Now's the time.
No mercy. Attack.
Red Earth is a very unique Capcom title, being that it is the only fighting game that they ever released using their CP System 3 hardware for arcades that was never released to a console. It was pretty unique in that it kind of combines the concept of a beat 'em up Final Fight style with a one-on-one fighting style like Street Fighter. There are 4 main characters to choose from, and each of those players has their own story, and you progress through that story fighting one-on-one against the enemy characters until you reach the climax. So quite interesting title and very fun to play. A lot of people don't know about this particular title because it wasn't one of the more popular arcade titles that Capcom had. I think with a little bit of polish and a new touch, using a new engine and updated graphics, Red Earth can come back to life. Saturday Night Slam Masters is a wrestling game Capcom made back in 1993. Though it played like a traditional wrestling game, it also contains similarities to a traditional fighting game, which made it unique. There were a roster of 10 wrestlers, up to 4-player competitive play, and you take that with updated graphics, updated engine, and online play, and even set it up for competitive play, I think we got another winner here.
Ready, fight!
And last but certainly not least is Star Gladiator. This 3D fighter first came to arcades and PlayStation 1 back in 1996. Unlike most Capcom fighting games, this one used a 4-button control system similar to Namco's Soul Calibur series. This game is actually also the origins of Hayato, mostly known from the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Several other characters from this game make cameo appearances in various Versus games. This game was quite fun and actually had great gameplay mechanics. This is definitely one Capcom should consider revisiting very soon. And there you have it, 10 games that Capcom needs to either consider adding on to or rebooting entirely. I hope you enjoyed this video. We enjoyed putting it together for you. If you enjoyed what you saw, click the like button below. Also, you can click subscribe. We have many more videos to come, just like this one and many others. So we hope you enjoy and stay tuned. Take care.